Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. My name is Tanya, for those of you that are new here, and I am a watercolor and acrylic artist. So in today's video, I'm going to be painting in watercolor for you three of my favorite flowers. First, we're going to start out with the tulip, then we're going to go to the rose, and then we're going to go to the ranunculus. And I'm going to simplify them as much as possible for you. And we're only using about maybe 4 different paints. And I'll let you know what color I'm using as I'm going along. I also have my hot press. Normally I work on cold press, but today I am working on my hot press Arches watercolor paper. And I have my Velvet Touch Princeton size 8 brush and my Winsor Newton watercolors. All right, so we are going to do the tulip first. So go ahead and get your paintbrush wet if you're following along. And you're just going to do kind of like an oval. And I'm going to actually do this in a little bit, because normally you would just do this with water, clear water, but I am going to use a little bit of my paint just so you can see it lightly on my paper. So I'm doing one of the tulips, or one of the petals right in front. This one right here. So it's almost like an egg shape. And then I'm going on the sides. I'm going to do 2 petals coming from the sides here. And I'm going to do them as light as I possibly can. And then you're going to actually dip it in. You're going to dip your brush actually into your paint, and you're going to let it bleed. I just sort of just pounce it and let it follow the water and do its thing. So I went up both the sides here of the main petal, and then I went up a little bit on the petals that are on the sides here. And you can go ahead and start forming it a little bit more if you want to. If you think that it's just a little bit too open here, there's just too much opening, you can go ahead and close up your petals. If you feel like you need to put a little bit more of a point on your flower, go ahead and do that also. All right, then it's that simple. That's all you really have to do. I'm going to take my sap green, and tulips have a really nice long stem. And actually I'm going to put a little bit of my lemon yellow in here. It's just too vibrant, too dark for me. I just want to put a little lemon yellow in there. Make a stem. And then the leaves are these big, beautiful, almost teardrop leaves like that. And I'm not sure how many they have, maybe 5 or 6, who knows, maybe even more than that. And you can make them, sometimes they're even taller than the tulip. So you can make them as tall as you want. And then I'm going to start dropping in, actually I'm going to drop in a little bit more of my sap green. And you can blend it up if you want to. Just get a little bit more water on your brush. You can now start adding, if you want to, you can start adding blues. You can start adding some yellow. If you want to change the tone of the green a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of my yellow ochre in here. And maybe a little bit going up that way too. And you don't have to blend it all. I love texture. I've said this before in my videos. I just love texture. I love the blooms that it creates when you add a little bit of extra water in there. The way it evaporates is just beautiful. If you don't like that, you could just go ahead and smooth it out and not pick up as much water. I like to make my things a little bit more textured and a little bit more vibrant with my color. So I'm just going to let that dry naturally. If you want, you can even go ahead and drop in a little bit more of your I'm using my my alizarin crimson, but you can go ahead, whatever color you're using, you can always go ahead and add a little bit more if you want to, right before it dries completely. Pretty. That's really, really pretty. All right, so that's simple. It's simple as that. I mean, you can make more leaves if you want. You can make your tulip maybe just one petal coming out a little bit if you want to, but it's as simple as that. All right, now we're going to go on to the rose. And for my rose, I'm going to use my yellow ochre. Well, let's just go ahead and make it up here. I'm going to use my yellow ochre, and I'm just going to come in nice and tight with just a little spiral. maybe like little C curves, like that. Okay, so they're just like little C curves, and this is the middle of the rose. Then I'm going to wash off my brush, and I'm going to touch some of that yellow ochre just so it bleeds out, and I'm going to make bigger C curves going around. Now, if you think it's not grabbing enough of your yellow ochre, you can always go ahead and add a little bit more onto your brush, or you can help it along a little bit by just picking up some of this yellow ochre and maybe just dropping it in here or there if you want to. Okay, so it's just like big C curves everywhere. So you start out with tiny little C curves and then you go to bigger ones. Then you can wash off your brush and even make some petals that are coming down if you want to. So they're almost like little pointy little petals that are just kind of sticking out here and there. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my yellow ochre, and I'm just going to fill those in a little bit because my water was, it was really diluted, so you didn't see as much of the yellow. So see how these kind of go into like a little, almost like a little hill. Okay, and you're going to let that dry just like that. Now the stem for this one, I'm going to pick up my sap green again. And I'm just going to touch my flower because I do like to see a little bit of it bleed there. See how even my tulip bled a little bit into my stem? I like that look. If you don't like that look, just wait till it dries completely before you make your stem. But I like touching my paint and just having it bleed in there. Make a nice stem. And then you can make some little stems come off that main stem, and then you're going to have some leaves on there. And I normally do like three little leaves that are kind of clustered together. And you can go ahead and add a little yellow ochre or a little blue, depending on what shade of green you want. If you want this to be more in the blue family or more in the lime family. And I'm going to add a little bit more. Oh, and you can also even do a little bud on here. So if you wanted, let's say we wanted a little bud on this one. I would just come in and do like two little, or you could even do three if you want. Almost like a little cup here. So you could do 2, 3, whatever. So it's like the little bud that's forming right there, and that's the green part. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of my alizarin crimson again, and I'm going to form almost like a little egg. Like we're just closing up that little egg. You can touch your green if you want it to bleed a little bit, which I like that. If you don't like that, wait to do the color of your flower, of the bud. Just wait till the green dries, or try not to touch it. But I like when it touches. I think it looks really pretty. And I'm not sure why I did an alizarin crimson bud with my yellow. That was kind of funny. I just noticed that. Hilarious. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and put another little bud on it. I'm going to take my sap green again, and let's do a little bud coming out from this little bud here. It's going to be a confused little flower. That's okay. It's going to have a red bud coming off of a yellow flower. Totally fine. All right, so we're going to make those little cups again. Like that. And this time I'm going to do a yellow bud, so it makes a little bit more sense. There. You can leave a little bit of white space for some highlight if you want to. Totally fine. And I'm actually even going to put in just a couple more, just like, you know how like roses, sometimes you have the little thorns on the roses. I'm just going to put some little thorns. I'm just coming up. You can make them green, you can make them brown. Just with the tip of my brush, I'm just coming in with some little thorns. You don't have to do this if you don't like that, but I think it adds a little extra something to the flower. All right, look how beautiful that is it's just starting to blend beautifully. If you see that you left a little bit too much highlight, too much of the white of the paper showing, you can always go in and close it up. It's easier to just start with not enough and just keep adding, because with watercolor, if you just put it down too much, you'll never get the white of the paper back. So it's easier just to take it in small, slow little steps. All right, so here's my confused little flower with the one little rosebud that is red. All right, so now we're gonna be doing, and this one I love, love, love. This is like probably my all-time favorite flower is the ranunculus. So we're gonna start with a little bit of our sap green. And we're going to do the middle of the flower first, just like we did the middle of the flower of the rose first. We're going to do the middle of the ranunculus first. So let's just put it right here. And again, you're going to go in like a little spiral motion, just with the tip of your brush. All right, like that. And then you're going to wash off your brush, and you're just going to hit the green and try and let it blend out. And you're still going in those little C curves. Leave some white space. You do want some highlight in there, so leave some white space. All right, so it almost looks like a little rose at this point, okay? Because we're pretty much doing the same thing. Now the ranunculus usually has a little bit of a green center. Sometimes they don't. So it just depends on which color ranunculus you want to do. But I'm going to be doing the alizarin crimson. I want it to be more of a pinky. And I'm going to just dilute my alizarin crimson a little bit on my palette here. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of those C curves again and just go in a spiral motion. And I'm actually letting it hit my green here because I want them to bleed together and follow along. And then just keep going. Remember to leave a little of that white space in there because you still want a little bit of highlight. You want to show where the petals are. You can go as light as you want. All I did was wash off my brush, and I'm just pulling the paint that's already on my page. I'm just pulling it out. So I did not put any new paint on my brush. All right. Look how pretty that is. All right, so before it dries, go in with some of your alizarin crimson or whatever color you choose, and just with the tip of the brush, hit where you just painted, the last little layer here of those petals. Just hit them and let it bleed in. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, I just love it. And it's gonna end up looking something like this, where it just all bleeds together. If you feel like you want a little bit more and it didn't bleed, or maybe your paint is drying a little bit too fast for you, you can always come in with just a little bit more if you want and close it in a little bit more. Beautiful. All right, let it do its thing. Again, the stem, I'm taking my sap green again, and I'm just gonna be putting on a little stem here, and I let it hit the flower. Like I said before, I like where they bleed together. And then this flower's got a couple little, if you wanna move down to your size 4, you can. That was our 8 that we were using. We're gonna move down to our size 4 now, just because I want some of these to be a little bit thinner up here. All this little greenery that's coming off the flower up here, I just want it to be a little thinner. All right, so you're just gonna wisp out just some little C curves, one going one way, one going the other. And then here, just like the rose, you're gonna be putting on a little stem, and it's got a couple little leaves, and this one's got a little cluster of leaves as well. I'm just gonna do 3 on here again. All right, and if you want to change the tone again of the green, go ahead and either add in a little bit of blue or a little bit of yellow. And I am going to add in a little bit of my yellow ochre once again. I like it to be a little bit more in the on the yellow side than the blue side when I do my leaves. I guess it just depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I do more of the bluish green leaves, but today I'm feeling more of a yellow mood. All right, and then let's go ahead and put a little bud on this one too. Now this bud is going to be red, not yellow, because that is our color of our flower. Not to be confused with our confused little rose up there. All right, make those a little bit bigger. And let's do a little bud maybe coming out this way. So the little stem again, and then again, those little curves, those little cups I was talking about. It's almost the same thing as the rose up here. And I'm going to pick up my red. I'm going to dilute it just a little bit though. And then you're going to just close it up and let the red and the green hit if you want. And if you don't want it to hit, then just wait till one dries, or just be really careful. Look how cute that is. Now this is my favorite flower to paint, and it's actually my favorite flower in real life. I just think these flowers are gorgeous. If you feel that you lost a little bit too much in here of the green, of the little strokes, you can go ahead and wait for this to dry and add a little bit more. This one's still wet, so let's just go ahead and do a few more strokes on this one here that I did a while ago. And I added in, this one looks a little bit more yellow because I did add in a little bit of my lemon yellow with my sap green. And you can come in and just do a few more of those little spirally C curves if you feel that you lost that. And I'm just going to bleed it out just a little bit. That is so pretty. Now, if you want to even pop this a little bit more, you can come in with your red or whatever color you're choosing and wait when your flower completely dries. You can come in and just hit the edge of it a little bit and just make it pop a little bit more if you want. It just adds a little bit more dimension. And if you want, you could even bring in a few, just like we just did with the green. It just adds like an extra little layer, an extra little detail. That is pretty. And we can come in and do an extra little layer on some of our buds here too. All right. And that looks gorgeous. Love it. I'm probably going to do the same thing to this one when it dries. Really, really pretty. With your rose, if you want to just deepen up, or even if you want to change a little bit of the color, you know what? Maybe we'll make our Confused Little Rose have a little bit of pink in there so that this matte, it makes more sense. So maybe it'll be a yellowish red rose. I'm going to take a little bit of my alizarin crimson, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to add a little bit of that red right in the center there. Now it makes a little bit more sense that it's got a red bud. And you can bleed that out a little bit if you want to. You can pull out some of that pink. Maybe not everywhere. You still want your yellow to be showing through, or whatever other color you choose. But I'm going to put a little bit of that alizarin crimson here and there, just so that little bud made sense now. Look how pretty that is. Just adds an extra little detail. All right, I'm going to move back to my 8, and I'm going to put a little bit more detail on this tulip. You can go ahead and get your tulip nice and wet again, or you don't have to. You could just do wet on dry, which is what I'm doing now. And I'm just going to be coming in with some little, you see a little bit of veining on tulips, on their petals, but I don't want it to be too much. So I'm just going to kind of blend that out a little bit. But you do see a little bit of the veins on some of your tulips, which is gorgeous. That's pretty. And then I'm going to add a little bit more this way. And you can even dry brush it. See how I'm dry brushing it up? And it just automatically makes little lines. You could do that too. Really pretty. That's gorgeous. All right, wash off your brush. And if you see a couple that you don't like this one went up a little too far, just dab a little bit of water and you'll take it right off. I'm going to just add a little bit more of green to my my leaves here. So I'm taking my sap green again, and I'm going to come in with just another little layer. There. Perfect. Excellent. Look at that. In just a matter of minutes, we did 3 beautiful, very, very simple flowers. Hope you learned a little something, and I hope you try it. Definitely go ahead and try it. These are just really, really simple. And if you want more videos like this one, please give me a thumbs up. You can make a comment in the comment section, and definitely don't forget to subscribe because I will be bringing more videos like this to you. And I hope you have a good day. Happy painting. Bye.